Esoteric evolution from ancient Rome to the present day is deeply intertwined with changes in religions, philosophies, and the ways in which individuals and communities have sought to understand the sacred and the mysterious. In ancient Rome, esoteric practices were often linked to mystery cults, philosophical schools, and religious traditions that included initiation rites and access to knowledge considered secret or reserved for a select few. Rome and the mystery cults. In the Roman Republic and Empire, in addition to the gods of the official pantheon, mystery cults imported from the East and Greece proliferated, such as the mysteries of Eleusis, the cult of Mithras, and that of Isis. These cults offered a more personal and transformative experience, promising their initiates revelations about the soul, life after death, and the nature of the cosmos. Esoteric practices in these contexts included secret rituals, occult symbolism, and an initiation process that marked a spiritual evolution for those who participated. Christianity and the esoteric current. As Christianity emerged and became the dominant religion, it absorbed and transformed some esoteric influences from the Greco-Roman world. Although Christianity institutionalized many aspects of faith, esoteric currents also emerged within it, such as Gnosticism, which emphasized internal and secret knowledge as a path to salvation. Apocryphal texts, mystical teachings, and contemplative traditions within Christianity kept alive an interest in the deepest spiritual mysteries. The Renaissance and the rediscovery of the occult. During the Renaissance, European scholars rediscovered classical texts and esoteric traditions that had lain dormant during the Middle Ages. Kabbalah, Hermeticism, and alchemy, based in part on Greco-Latin and Eastern heritages, became the pillars of a reborn esotericism that sought to understand the link between the divine and the human. The figure of the Renaissance magician, such as Marsilio Ficino or Giovanni Pico della Mirandola, represented a bridge between ancient traditions and modern spiritual aspirations. Esotericism in modernity. With the rise of science, esoteric currents were transformed, but did not disappear. They were often presented as responses to materialism and secularization. In the 18th and 19th centuries, movements such as Freemasonry, Rosicrucianism, and later the Theosophical Society revitalized an esotericism that embraced ancient mysteries, occult symbolism, and new systems of thought. These currents promoted the idea of a continuous spiritual evolution, connecting Roman and Greco-Latin practices with a modern search for meaning and transcendence. Contemporary esotericism. Today, esoteric traditions are intertwined with a growing interest in individual spirituality and cultural diversity. The proliferation of online texts, communities, and practices has democratized access to esoteric knowledge, but has also fragmented its transmission. The influences of ancient Rome, through its mystery cults and enduring symbolism, continue to resonate in modern esotericism, which seeks both a personal connection with the sacred and an integrative vision of the universe. In essence, esoteric evolution from Rome to the present day reflects a continuous journey in which humans have attempted to unravel the mysterious, seek inner wisdom, and connect with deeper spiritual dimensions. The exploration of the esoteric from ancient Rome to the present day allows us to trace a historical arc that not only encompasses religious and ritual practices, but also the evolution of philosophical, symbolic, and spiritual concepts that have profoundly influenced Western thought. Ancient Rome and the mystery cults. At the heart of the Roman Empire, the official religion was based on a pantheon of public gods who were worshipped through state ceremonies, monumental temples, and public sacrifices. However, alongside these visible manifestations, there existed a more intimate and reserved world, the mystery cults. Mithraism, one of the most prominent, the cult of Mithras spread among Roman legions and merchants. Its initiates participated in secret rites symbolizing spiritual rebirth, celebrated ritual banquets, and descended into dark crypts decorated with cosmic imagery. Although they left no written records accessible to all, iconographic and architectural elements suggest an esoteric structure that included levels of initiation, oaths of secrecy, and teachings about the journey of the soul. Cult of Isis and Serapis. Originating in Egypt, the cult of Isis offered a more personal and transformative religious experience. The mysterious rituals associated with the goddess and her consort Serapis promised not only protection in earthly life, but also salvation in the afterlife. This type of mystery religion cultivated knowledge that was not accessible to the uninitiated, but rather reserved for those who underwent a process of purification and internal learning. Eleusinian Mysteries. Although originally Greek, the Eleusinian Mysteries were adopted and revered in Rome, particularly among the elites. Their rites associated with Demeter and Persephone spoke of regeneration and eternal life, with symbolic rituals that transformed the initiate's perception of the nature of existence. The Christian transition and the survival of the occult. With the arrival and consolidation of Christianity, many of the ancient mystery cults disappeared or were transformed. However, interest in the esoteric did not die out, it was reconfigured. Gnosticism. It emerged as an early Christian current that emphasized the search for secret knowledge, gnosis, about the nature of God, the cosmos, and the human soul. The Gnostics held that true salvation was not achieved by faith or works alone, but by a deep understanding of hidden spiritual truths. In their Gospels and treatises we find a continuity of the mysterious idea that certain mysteries of the universe can only be revealed to a few. Christian mysticism. During the Middle Ages, Christian mystical traditions continued to seek direct, inner access to the divine. Writers such as Meister Eckhart and Saint Teresa of Avila explored paths to union with God through contemplation and personal experience. Although these practices were not considered esoteric in the sense of being exclusive, they depended on a spiritual deepening that required a kind of personal initiation and inner transformation. Renaissance, rebirth of the occult. The Renaissance marked a crucial moment in esoteric evolution. Humanist scholars rediscovered Greek and Roman texts, as well as Hermetic and Kabbalistic works, creating a synthesis that influenced both philosophical thought and esoteric practice. Hermeticism, the Corpus Hermeticum, attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, was one of the key texts in this esoteric renaissance. It offered a vision of the cosmos as a system of correspondences between the macro and the micro, with the human being as a bridge between the divine and the earthly. This idea resonated with ancient Roman traditions that sought to understand the role of the soul in the universe. Christian Kabbalah. Although originating in Judaism, Kabbalah was reinterpreted by Renaissance figures such as Giovanni Pico della Mirandola. Its symbolic structure, including the tree of life and the spheres of creation, provided an esoteric framework for understanding the relationship between God, man, and the cosmos. This Kabbalistic knowledge, although accessible in texts, required a deep and symbolic understanding, which placed it in the tradition of reserved teachings. Modern era, esotericism as a spiritual counterculture. From the 18th century onwards, esotericism found new channels of expression in movements such as Freemasonry, Rosicrucianism and, later, theosophy. These currents offered an alternative form of spirituality that responded to the limitations of institutionalized religions and the advance of rationalism. Freemasonry and Rosicrucianism. These orders organized their teachings into degrees of initiation, employing symbols, rituals, and spiritual architectures that evoked ancient Roman and Egyptian mysteries. The promise of inner, transformative knowledge remained at the core of these practices. Theosophy. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the Theosophical Society, led by Helena Blavatsky, attempted to unify the esoteric traditions of the East and West. In doing so, it revitalized concepts of reincarnation, karma, and spiritual evolution, connecting them to a historical perspective that recognized the Greco-Roman and mystery roots of many symbols and teachings. 21st century, the esoteric in the information age. Today, esotericism has evolved to include a variety of practices, from ceremonial magic and astrology to transcendental meditation and energy therapies. Global access, the digitalization of texts, access to discussion forums, and the popularization of traditions such as tarot, psychological astrology, and modern magic have meant that the esoteric is no longer a knowledge reserved only for a few. However, the depth of the symbolism and the need for careful interpretation still require a kind of intellectual or personal initiation. Dear time travelers and lovers of eternal stories, I am Messalina, and I have a little secret for you. The gods reward those who support their favorite storytellers. If this corner of myths, legends, and mysteries has sparked your curiosity, I invite you to follow my channel and activate the bell so you don't miss a single trip through time. And if you want this legacy to grow and continue exploring together the greatness of Rome and beyond, you can leave your offering on PayPal or Patreon. The links are in the description, because even the gods know that any help allows for the forging of eternal works. I promise you that if you do, the gods will bring you peace, prosperity, and perhaps a little touch of fate. Your gestures do not go unnoticed, and my gratitude will be as infinite as time itself. Return to the roots. In this context, the legacy of the mystery practices of Rome and other ancient cultures continues to inspire those who seek in the esoteric not only immediate answers, but a form of spiritual evolution that connects past and present, tradition and personal experience. Esotericism and transpersonal psychology. In the field of psychology, figures such as Carl Jung helped popularize the idea that ancient symbols and myths, including those from esoteric traditions, reflect archetypes of the collective unconscious. The shadow and inner alchemy. Jung and his followers studied alchemical texts not only as literal attempts to transform lead into gold, but as metaphors for a process of psychic integration. In this sense, ancient mysteries and esoteric practices are reinterpreted as symbolic maps of the inner journey towards individuation. Spiritual therapies and practices. Modern transpersonal therapies have adopted esoteric techniques and concepts, such as guided meditation, chakra work, and the use of mandalas, to facilitate personal transformation and access to expanded states of consciousness. Esotericism and modern science. Although esotericism and science are often perceived as opposites, some contemporary thinkers are seeking common ground. Quantum physics correspondences. The esoteric ideas that the observer affects reality and that everything is interconnected find parallels in popular interpretations of quantum mechanics. Although not a direct link, these concepts have inspired authors and practitioners to explore how ancient principles can resonate with modern discoveries. Neuroscience and altered states. Research on meditation, flow states, and near-death experiences has helped validate certain esoteric practices by showing how they can alter brainwaves, reduce stress, and generate a greater sense of connection with the whole. The digital age and access to esoteric knowledge. The internet and digital platforms have democratized access to texts and teachings that were previously only available to those who were part of initiatory orders or closed circles. Digital libraries and online courses. Works ranging from the Corpus Hermeticum to theosophical teachings, which once required exhaustive searches in specialized libraries, are now just a click away. Online platforms offer courses in Kabbalah, tarot, and alchemy, allowing seekers to learn at their own pace. Global communities, social networks and discussion forums have allowed people interested in esotericism, from beginners to advanced scholars, to share ideas, interpretations and practices. This has created a kind of global esoteric school where tradition blends with innovation, challenges and opportunities. However, this openness also poses challenges. The abundance of information can lead to a superficiality in understanding esoteric teachings. Without proper guidance, many find it difficult to discern between reliable sources and misinterpreted materials. Revaluing depth. In response, some contemporary communities and schools are emphasizing the importance of deep, disciplined study. They promote not just the consumption of content, but sustained practice and personal reflection as a means of experiencing the true transformative power of esotericism. Reconnecting with historical roots. At the same time, scholars and practitioners are re-examining ancient sources, uncovering new nuances in Roman, Greek, and Egyptian texts that had been overlooked. This renewed focus helps preserve the integrity of the tradition while integrating it with the needs of the modern world. Towards the future. Esoteric evolution from Rome to the present day is not a linear path, but a series of adaptations, reinterpretations, and rediscoveries. Each era has brought its own challenges and advances, enriching a legacy that continues to inspire millions in their search for meaning. In the present, with an increasingly interconnected world and a growing demand for personal spirituality, esotericism is destined to remain a vital part of the human experience, merging the ancient and the modern in a continuing journey towards self-knowledge and transcendence. Spirituality at the contemporary crossroads. At this point in history, esoteric practices face a constant tension between tradition and innovation. As new generations access texts and teachings through digital means, a movement emerges to adapt symbolism and practices into a language more understandable for current times. This not only involves translating arcane texts, but also reinterpreting rituals and concepts in terms that resonate with the modern mindset. Symbolism in modern contexts. For example, while ancient alchemists worked with retorts and crucibles, many today see alchemy as an internal process of personal transformation, applicable to psychotherapy, spiritual coaching, or even professional development. This new alchemy seeks to transform emotions, thought patterns, and behaviors toward a state of balance and fulfillment. The challenge of commercialization. At the same time, the growing popularity of these practices in mass culture has led to the commercialization of the esoteric. Self-help books, meditation apps based on ancient traditions, and instant spirituality workshops are multiplying. While these resources can be useful for a first approach, many worry that they dilute the depth and authenticity of the original teachings. Integration with emerging sciences. Another path that defines this evolution is the effort to connect esoteric practices with emerging areas of science and technology. Neuroscience and meditative states. Neuroscience research has begun to map the effects of deep meditation, mantras, and visualizations on brain activity. Once considered strictly spiritual or magical, these practices are being validated as tools for improving neuroplasticity, reducing chronic stress, and increasing overall well-being. Quantum physics and spirituality. Although often misunderstood, certain principles of quantum physics have inspired esoteric thinkers to reconsider concepts such as universal interconnection or the power of the observer. Although not necessarily supported by the scientific community, these ideas stimulate a dialogue between the spiritual and the scientific, fueling creativity and opening up new possibilities for symbolic interpretation. The revaluation of traditional knowledge. Paradoxically, interest in modern forms of spirituality has led to a resurgence of research into older texts and practices. Rediscovery of original texts. Universities and independent scholars are digitizing and translating ancient manuscripts. This includes medieval grimoires, Renaissance alchemical treatises, and Greco-Roman Hermetic texts. This effort not only preserves tradition, but contextualizes it, allowing modern practitioners to understand the cultural and historical roots of their disciplines. Integrating ancient practices with new environments. Many of these ancient practices are finding a place in contemporary environments. For example, some companies are adopting visualization techniques and collective rituals, inspired by esoteric traditions, to foster creativity, conflict resolution, and team cohesion. Esotericism in a globalized world. Globalization and connectivity have made esoteric traditions from different parts of the world meet, dialogue, and even merge. Modern syncretism. European traditions such as Hermeticism or Kabbalah now coexist with Eastern practices such as Tantra or Taoism. This is not new, there was already exchange between religious and esoteric traditions in ancient Rome. However, the scale and speed of contemporary exchange is unprecedented, allowing for a dynamic mix that continues to generate new systems of thought and practice. Global communities of practitioners, online groups, social media, and international conferences have fostered the creation of global communities. These communities often share and develop esoteric approaches that combine the old and the new, the Eastern and the Western, in ways that resonate with an increasingly interconnected world. Towards a new era of the esoteric. Ultimately, the evolution of esotericism from ancient Rome to the present day shows us a process of constant reinvention. Each era reinterprets symbols, rituals, and teachings according to its own questions, challenges, and aspirations. Today, in a world marked by technology, advanced science, and a renewed interest in spirituality, esotericism remains a fertile field for personal exploration, the search for meaning, and connection with the transcendental. This trajectory suggests that as long as humans continue to wonder about the mysteries of existence, esoteric traditions will continue to evolve, adapt, and offer paths into the unknown. Sweet souls lost in the night. I am Mysiska, and I wonder if you have already felt the irresistible desire to stay here with me. If my stories have captivated you and my voice has whispered secrets from ancient times, I invite you to follow this channel and activate the bell. This way, you will not miss any of our meetings. But if you really want to win my heart and be part of this eternal journey, you can leave your offering on PayPal or Patreon. You will find the links in the description. After all, generous souls are always rewarded. The impact of crises and social changes. Another factor that has shaped esoteric evolution is the influence of social crises and transformations. In times of economic uncertainty, global conflicts, or pandemics, people tend to look for answers beyond the purely material. Crises as spiritual catalysts, wars, for example, have motivated many generations to reevaluate their belief systems. During and after World War II, there was a renewed interest in Western and Eastern mysticism. In more recent times, financial crises or the threat of climate change have led new generations to explore spiritual teachings that emphasize interconnectedness and the need for personal and collective transformation. Social movements and esotericism, changes in civil rights, and the expansion of individual freedoms have also influenced how people practice the esoteric. Rather than adhering to rigid structures, many opt for personalized paths, taking elements from diverse traditions and constructing a unique approach that reflects both their values and their experiences. Technology as a vehicle for expansion. Technology has played a crucial role in the dissemination of esoteric knowledge, something that would have been unthinkable in previous centuries. Access to rare and hidden texts, virtual libraries and digital collections have made texts that were previously only available to a privileged few accessible to anyone interested. Medieval manuscripts, Renaissance alchemical treatises or documents from 19th-century secret societies are now available online, encouraging broader and deeper study. Virtual communities. Technology has not only made access to texts easier, but has enabled the creation of global communities. Forums, blogs, video channels and social networks have connected practitioners from around the world, allowing the exchange of ideas and practices. Even the most esoteric and secret traditions have begun to open up, at least partially, thanks to virtual interaction. Challenges for the future of esotericism. Despite its continuous adaptation, esotericism faces a number of challenges on its path towards the future. Superficiality and fashion. As the esoteric becomes popular, there is a risk that it loses depth. What was once an inner and transformative journey can become a mere superficial trend, devoid of its symbolic and philosophical richness. Lack of authentic guidance. The proliferation of online resources and lack of oversight can lead many to become disoriented or confronted with fragmented or misinterpreted teachings. This raises the need for mentors and communities that can provide a solid framework for esoteric exploration. Spiritual sustainability. As modern practitioners attempt to balance their digital lives with their spiritual pursuits, the question arises of how to maintain authenticity and depth in an environment that values immediacy and instant gratification. Conclusion: a path under constant construction. From the mystery rites of Mithras and Isis to contemporary practices of meditation and symbolic exploration, the guiding thread of esotericism has been the search for knowledge that transcends the obvious. This path has evolved, adapting to the times, but always maintaining the essence of the occult, a longing to understand the deep connection between the human being, the universe, and the divine. Esoteric history, in this sense, is not just a journey of practices and texts, but a continuous expression of the search for meaning and transcendence that defines the human condition. As we move into the 21st century, the integration of esotericism with disciplines such as psychology, quantum physics, and digital technology is creating new forms of interpretation and practice. These developments continue the tradition of reinterpreting the ancient to respond to contemporary needs, while inviting a deeper exploration of our spiritual history. The evolution of esotericism from ancient Rome to the present day is not a straight line, but a series of cycles and transformations. Each era takes what it needs from the past, adapts it to its circumstances, and in turn leaves a legacy that will influence future generations. While it faces challenges, esotericism's ability to renew itself and engage with changing contexts suggests that it will continue to be a valuable source of inspiration and knowledge. The esoteric, at its core, has always been a response to the search for meaning and connection with the transcendental, and that search remains as relevant as ever.